So I've come over today. I've already been over once this morning, and yeah, about 2 hours ago, I looked like this. So I went home, dried up, and yeah, it was a bit of a mess. We had some rain this morning. We're due a thunderstorm in the next hour, but we've had a bit of progress at the back of the plot. So I came over and dug out this area, and yeah, what a mess it was. Honestly, so boggy over here because this is all clay soil. But now we've got 3 IBC tanks all in a row. And I've joined up these 2 already, so I need to join this one up now. And then all 3 of these tanks then, like I said, are now watering the tunnel through summer. And I've also got covers for all these well to keep the sun off them, similar to the one at the back there. And it just keeps the sun off, and obviously then the water doesn't go green. So yeah, if you have got an IBC tank, get yourself one of these cheap covers, but make sure that you anchor it down because the wind tend to get under them and rip them off when we get a bit of wind. But yeah, they are handy. So if you are thinking about joining up your IBC tanks, I'll pop a link in the description. It's not an affiliate link of the fitments I bought, because don't go down the route I did where you thought, oh, those ones are about £2 cheaper, I'll get those, when they're not as long as the ones that you need. And you buy the fitments, and then when you screw them on, you can't get the pipes around because the main big tap at the bottom is kind of, you know, drawn back into the tank too much. So yeah, I'll pop a link to the ones that I bought, and the right ones anyway. I'll pop them in the description. And then I had a bit of a brainwave, you know, I've got an idea. I thought the other side of the tunnel, it just connects to a half barrel, and then when that's full, then it overflows and runs off down the bottom of the plot. And I kind of thought that's a waste of space, really, that I'm collecting water just for one little barrel. So I thought I'll get some more of the MDPE pipe. I'm using a 20mm pipe. There is like a 25 and so on. But I'm using that one. I'm thinking about connecting it to that side as well, and it can run over to these IBC tanks so that it'll collect water from both sides. So that's for a future project. And I also thought about adding a tap inside as well, connected to the tanks. The pressure will be okay for a tap, but not for a hose pipe. So I'm thinking about having it in here rather than in the winter. I'm going outside the tunnel and fill up my watering cans. I can do it in here. Even though I can use this to pump water into a watering can as well. But I just figured having a tap there, you know, I may as well. I had the pipe there, so I may as well just... I'm making excuses, but boys and their toys. Gosh, what a week, honestly. I came over the other day and it was forecast storms, rain, wind. I came over, did a few hours. I'll show you what I've done so far, so let's go. So as you can see, oh, no, you can't see. Hang on. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of big chunky shallots in here now, and I'm desperate for this bed. But I mean, look at these. These are the banana shallots. Now, I'm happy with these. I mean, they're a decent size. Could I have left them in a bit longer? Probably, but I'm happy with the size. I've got a few more beds of these anyway, so yes, let's get the remainder of these out. Now, I am tempted to keep in some of the smaller ones, but I'm also in desperate need of this bed. So I think they're going to just come up. Now, the good thing about shallots over onions is that they store much better. So if you are looking for something that will store over winter and you can use later on, shallots are the ones for you, I think. Now, the plan is that I'll use the smaller ones first, and then the larger ones I'll keep for winter storage. I'll use my summer onions first, and then these can be for later on. That's the plan. It's mad to think that they all started out as one little shallot like that, and then they split into a cluster of about 6 to 8 shallots. Now, I've weeded this bed many times, but there's still weeds coming through. There we go. I mean, I can't complain with that. That's a huge basket of shallots here, so another successful harvest. The sweet peas are finally shooting up this obelisk, and they are very much welcome. So it won't be long before the shallots that I planted in this bed will be ready for harvesting, but I've still got a few buckets left, but this is the next succession. And not that I've mastered potatoes, but I have been able to accustom it to me. So I tend to do 4 new potato buckets, especially shallots, in the Polytunnel in February. And then once they are ready, I'll eat those week after week. And after 4 weeks then, these ones in this bed are normally ready. So I've got a succession, and then by the time I finish these, the other buckets are ready. So it kind of works for me, but I do like some in the ground and in buckets. Inside the fruit cage, we've got some golden raspberries coming now. We've got a few canes that just didn't come, so that's a bit of a shame, but I will plant some more in there to fill up those gaps. And these are the gooseberries off Tony from Simplified Garden. I had these, God, a few years ago when I first started YouTube, and they're finally giving me some fruit. Also, one of my favourites is the white currants. Now, if you haven't tried a white currant jam, I highly recommend these. They're so sweet, and it's one of my favourite jams to make. And speaking of sweeter fruit, the red gooseberries. Now, green ones tend to have more of a tart flavour, but these ones have got a sweeter flavour to them, and they're, again, beautiful in jams. And I've just noticed that the Monge 2s have started to pod up, so I'll be definitely doing a picking of these today, because there's quite a few on here now. I mean, look at how beautiful these little pods are here. But yeah, there's quite a few ready to pick. So yeah, the fruit cage is starting to pay back. I mean, it was a bit of work transporting them all up here and building the fruit cage, but year after year now, I think this will become more productive. So yeah, it's very much welcome, all these currants that are safe in here from the birds. But I'm sure, like all of our allotments and our gardens right now, where there was sun, then there was rain, there is plenty of weeding to do, but I'm going to leave that for another day. Today I'm enjoying looking around the garden and doing the jobs that I've got on my list. But I've just looked over, and I mean, let me show you what I've seen. First of all, the Christophe alliums. Now, they are like a big sparkler, and I was so looking forward to these coming out. I mean, how beautiful are they? And on top of that, the poppies. Now, these are so sentimental to me. These were given to me as a small cut-in from an old gentleman who has had his plot for over 50 years, and he was so worried about giving a cut-in, but he was also worried that the plant might die one day and it would not continue. We tried collecting the seeds many times and had a little bit of success, but I took a cut-in and yeah, we've got a few beautiful poppies. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. This bed, now I have overly strulched it, and I think that did knock back a lot of the lettuces. A few people said that you shouldn't put the strulch right next to the edge of your lettuces, but also the beans as well. Now these are the blauhilde beans. They are taking their time to climb up there, I tell you now. Honestly, one or two of them have gone about 3 foot, but they should be romping at this by now. And the same for the borlotti beans. Now I don't know whether or not it's because we had that little bit of cold spell in the last week or so, but they're taking their time. And over at the new plot, I've noticed that the sunflowers now need to be staked in because the wind will end up snapping them. So I need to get a few cable ties on those. The runner beans now are finally starting to climb up the canes, which is a good sign, because once they get up to about here, you know that the slugs now can't tend to get to these. But they did take quite a few nibbles on the bottom leaves, but they're safe now. Now this area, which is the absolute abomination of the plot, is my next priority. I mean, I'm putting it off so much, but all the other jobs are done now. This is going to be the next job once I get some good weather. I've also put out some Shiraz into this planter and some Monge 2 in this one, with some trellising coming up it. I mean, ideally I would have preferred them in a bed, but I haven't got no beds at the moment, so they're going in here for now. And next year, by then I'll have all the beds settled in. I would have done all the construction work. So I'm not worried about having those extra plants because they are overflow plants. But by next year, I will definitely be up and running. The plots will be matured. There'll be no more changing plots and finding loads more projects to do. I feel like I'm kind of getting to the end of it now. It's just that one corner there and a few other little projects that I've got on the fig and olive plot. But overall, yeah, I'm happy with the progress I've done. I mean, it was only a reminder the other day of how much this has changed, this plot. You know, I've had this plot now almost a year. And I mean, this is a fully matured plot, really. You know, a polytunnel, all the raised beds are out. I mean, it's a working plot, but I am proud of it. But there's also plenty more still to do, like everyone's allotment plot. So don't be disheartened. Keep plodding on and you'll get there in the end, I promise. But it'll never be finished. So as you can see, I've got the sweet potatoes out now. I bought some nice big planters for those. I potted on all the chilies now. They're all in these little pots that I've used for alliums and other things in the past, but these ones were from Digwell Greenfingers. He gave me these at Malvern. These are jalapeno, and I also had a few cayenne off him. So thank you very much, Steve. I'll pop a link to Steve's channel in the description. But I've also got some of my own as well. King of the North, which is a nice red bell pepper. I've got yellow bell peppers. I've got chilies, peppers, you name it. There's quite a lot of them. And I also set up my Autopot system. I've had that many years now. It's basically a tank of water set up to 2 reservoirs underneath 4 pots. And when it needs water, it absorbs the water. So I've got a few chili peppers in those. I've also added a drip line from the main irrigation line in the Polytunnel all the way down here now into the bed, and added some, these aren't actually drippers, they're more of a sprayer system, but I've got one there and a few more dotted around this bed just to keep them all hydrated. So I've also got some more strelch, which I'm going to strelch both of these beds, as I've mentioned before, just to keep the moisture in the beds in summer. We're getting to the point now where hopefully the temperatures will start rising, so I want to get the strelch on all of these beds. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to bore you by showing you how much I put on strelch on beds, but the next time you see it, it'll be done. I've also sown some January King. Now these will be my winter cabbages for this year. So if you are thinking about growing some cabbages over winter, it is always hit and miss, but I am trying January King 3 winter cabbages, and yeah, we shall see. Fingers crossed. Now if you are looking for a really sweet strawberry and you're not really a big fan of the red ones, try these. These are called snow white strawberries. Now they're actually, you know, the complete opposite to a normal strawberry. They're kind of white, but they taste like, well, all I can say is they taste like strawberry milkshake. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful, but they taste even better. And if I have to be honest, if I could just grow snow white strawberries, and I probably might go to that in the end, they are my favorite strawberries to grow. They're so sweet and they've got that nice, well, milkshake flavor to them. So yeah, get yourself some snow white strawberries. So I've come over today because, true to form, I mentioned in my last video how the poles had gone so far across and I was leaving the back end of the plot free. I didn't need that extra pole on there, but I thought afterwards in spring next year that could be a great support for more strawberry baskets. So true to form, First Tunnels sent me 3 poles, one for either side and one for the middle, which I'm going to actually add in a lower spine so that I've got more support there for future uses, like I said, strawberries, or hanging things down like tomatoes and other climbing plants that I might need in my polytunnel. So I needed these about 113 to 114, and these are 117. So I'm gonna have to use the angle grinder. Now, I don't like using it because it's a scary tool, but needs must. So I'm gonna cut these down, just taking off a few centimeters, and then we'll fit them in the tunnel. Oh, and also I'll show you another gadget that I've bought for the channel. I've used the members' money and also some of my YouTube money. So thank you so much. If you are a member and you're supporting this channel, all those memberships do add up, and we've got a new gadget for the plot, which I'm going to show you in a second, which will create better content for the channel. So I am going to double check that oh, okay. So it appears that these are the right length. So let me check. Yeah. Yay! So it means I don't have to use the angle grinder, thank God. It's a good job that I didn't have them cut them, but I measured them and for some reason these are the right size. Let me check. So I thought I needed 114 or 113 centimeters, and they've sent 117, but they seem to fit. Yeah, see, oh, okay. Okay, so I asked for 114, and this is actually longer here, so that would account for why. So yeah, we're both right, but I didn't know that this bit here would be longer. I thought it would only be a little small bit. So it's good news because I can fit it up without no cutting. Okay, so if this works like so, I'm hoping I can kind of, yeah, there you go, slot it on. There. And just like before, I want to kind of tuck, sorry Mr. Bumblebee, some gaffer tape or duct tape if you want to call it across there, just to stop this from rubbing when we get a bit of wind and some storms later on. So there we go, job done. And now when I want to then at the start of spring, I can hang on what I want. So not only will this benefit the channel, but it'll also be another gadget to add to my kit. I bought myself a DJI drone. This is quite a small one, quite simple, but I want to get some shots of the plot and use this to, we'll get some better footage for the channel. So let's give it a go.
Droney, circle, rocket, 4 meters, rocket, 3, 2, 1.
Now the good thing about this as well is that now I can start taking shots of the plot when I'm planting, or just want to take some nice aerial shots of the plot. And then to land, I just raise out my hand and it will land right where it needs to. Just like so.
Spotlight, direction track, follow. Close, 1.
Now the other one that I want to use this for is that it'll start following me. So when I start doing plot tours now, it will start following me across the plot, so that I won't have to be holding a camera anymore. I can be showing you things, but it also follows me wherever I go. So from now on, plot tours will take a little bit of a different direction. Oof. Come on. There you go, and lands back on my hand.
10 meters, rocket, 3, 2, 1.
And the good thing is it'll always land back in my hand, so I'm going to worry about using a controller. There is an option, but I like the fact that this will do exactly what it's meant to do. Good boy. So I figured now's probably a good time to take some cuttings of my rose, the Generous Gardener. Now, I mean, now for the next couple of months is a good time. You want some nice fresh stems. You don't want old wood. And what you want to do is you want to cut back. So you've got a stem here. Cut it just below a leaf. Now this Generous Gardener has no thorns on it on the new growth, which is perfect. Remove some of the leaves, like so. Now what you want to do then is you want to leave some leaves on, take this out, and then you're left with this. Now you want to cut just below where you've just taken off the leaves, like so. I'm probably going to take those leaves off as well, just so that it focuses most of the energy into creating some roots. Now the best ones to do it on is stems that have already lost their flowers, so you're not really losing anything. Take that off. Tear these off, like so. And as you can see, this is where I cut it, just below where there was a leaf stem coming out. And then once you've got a few of these, there we go. 3, 4, I think 5 should be enough for this pot. You don't want to overcrowd it. There we go, just like so. Right, to the next step. So you've got your cuttings. Now for this pot, like I said, about 4 or 5, you don't want to overcrowd it. You want to make sure that that's firm. And you'll need this, your gardener's best friend. Now this is rooting powder. If you haven't got some and you want to make cuttings for quite a lot of things, you want to get some of this. So all you do is take your cutting, which should look similar to this. You know, you want it a good 10 inches or so, and cut right below a leaf node. And then just dip it in some water, give it a little flick, drop in the rooting powder. Now you don't need to put too much on, just a tiny bit, like so. Make a hole, do not push it straight in because you will remove the rooting powder off here, and place it right at the edge of your pot. Now the idea of this is that it actually drains faster on the edges of your pot rather than middle, which will hold a lot of water. You want them to have some moisture, but you also want it free draining. So as simple as dip it in water, dip the end in, make a hole, push the stem about halfway in and cover with compost. I mean, there's something satisfying about getting free plants from something out of the garden. So give it a go. Now this is the Generous Gardener rose. It smells absolutely beautiful. I'm hoping that these will be for at home and also to give to friends. So they're all in just like so. So I'll give this a good water now, and then I'll just keep it hydrated all through the season. You don't need to protect this, they're quite hardy. I mean, you don't need to put this in a greenhouse or a polytunnel. Leave it outside, let it get good watering from natural rain. I'll probably put this up against the shed, keep an eye on it, and hopefully in about 2 months or so this should start rooting. So give it a little go. You'll see the roots coming through the bottom there. You can either tease them apart, place them in the garden where you want, or pot them on, or even put them in a trench in your raised bed. Let them carry on until next spring, dig them up and plant them where you want. But these should be ready to plant out in the garden and get some free plants by next spring. So I've also sown some more Cobra French beans. Now you're probably thinking, why Danny, why when you've got so many beans on the go? But I love French beans, and they're a good crop to use through winter. They freeze really well, and you can't ever have enough of them. I've only got one little structure here of French beans. I have got blauhilde at the back, which are the purple ones, but I figured I'm gonna have some beds free in the next week or so. So hopefully by then they'll start shooting up through here and they can be planted out, and I'll get an extra crop because that bed actually hasn't got anything to go in it. So that's what I'm gonna use these for. And plus they'll be harvested later on in the season, and probably when these beans start getting a bit tired anyway, so it'll give me another job in late summer to harvest. So I'll probably regret it back then, but that's the plan. They'll be bunged into the freezer or given to family anyway for winter use. So I'm hoping to get enough to last me until July when I start cropping again. So that's the plan, because last year I did quite a lot but not quite enough. I ran out about a month or so ago, so I want to try and, you know, shorten that gap in between getting fresh and getting frozen. I'm Danny and this is Grow Up.